We are one day away. I guess it's technically opening day today, but we're one day away from Phillies opening day tomorrow against the Braves. Good morning, Hugh.
Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Philly. Hey, listen, if you own a gas station in the city and you charge for air, you need to be slapped across the lips. Like, for real. I was out looking for air yesterday, man, to put in my truck. Like, a couple tires were down low a little bit. Man, I rode around all over the city. They're charging $1.50 for air. Like, air. It's ridiculous, and I refuse to pay for it. So if anybody knows a gas station out there that has an air pump that's free, let me know.
You got to get up to the suburbs for Wawa gas. That's the free air,
I'm willing
man.
to make that ride, man. I refuse to pay for air, man. God gave us air for free, and then somebody decided that owns a gas station that he wants to try to charge folks for air. You need to be slapped, dog. Like, seriously. It's ridiculous. Money grabbing like that. You're already price gouging us for gas as it is. Now you're charging us for air. Use a damn air pump, and most of the time it don't even work.
I hear you on that. That is absolutely ridiculous. And you know what? Speaking of ridiculous, yesterday, it was actually 2 days ago, right? 2 days ago on our show, I heard something, and I thought it was ridiculous. Like, you ever hear something at first, and you think it's like crazy talk, and then you kind of think about it again, you're like, maybe that wasn't as crazy as 2 days ago. We had Howard Eskin on the show. Usually he says really pretty ridiculous things.
Balls get sweaty.
Like that. And I said, Howard, how many wins for the Phillies? Here's what he said.
107.
Stop.
Dang. Okay.
For real?
Well, wait a minute. Gabe Kapler, didn't he win 107
He
with
did.
San Francisco?
Gabe did. Yes, he did.
Okay, so it is, if he can do it with San Francisco, why can't the Phillies do it?
So at first, as you heard me laughing there and question if he was being serious or not, I was like, Howard's kidding, right? And then I'm driving in this morning, and DeCamera and Richie have Howard on. They say, how many wins, Howard? He said 107. And at first, you hear it, and it sounds insane. The Phillies winning 107 games. And while I think that number is
it's doable.
Well, no, 107 is very high. I don't think 100 wins is insane. In fact, I look at the Phillies, and I see 100-win talent. I see a team that can win 100 baseball games. Look, the last 2 years, we know what's happened. They've gotten off to awful starts, and by the time they've woken up, they've gotten going, but they were so far behind that their win total at the end of the year was around 90 because they were so bad in April and May. Well, I don't anticipate that happening again. The schedule is way different in April. They seem more focused than they have been in recent years. So I don't anticipate a bad start. And then you look at what they did last year from June 2nd on, they were 65-38. That's a 102-win pace. We've seen the Phillies in 2 straight seasons from around the beginning of June to the end of October play like a 100-win team. And that's not like, a 3-week stretch. That's a 4 or 5-month stretch where they've played like that. I believe the Phillies can win 100 games. They have a top 5 pitcher in the sport. They have a top 5 hitter in the sport. They have a $30 million a year shortstop that a lot of people the other day told us was going to play like an MVP. They have a division that has 3 bad teams, right? That's going to help. Or they get to play the Mets,
3 bad, yeah.
Marlins, and the Nationals. And the Marlins and Mets are at least average at best. The Nationals are bad. And I sense
Marlins are kind of pesky, though.
They are pesky, but they're not very good.
Squad,
yeah.
But
I sensed it last week. We were down in Clearwater. This is a driven team. They seem like they want to win the division. And let's be real, if they're going to win the division, that's going to take a lot of wins. Like, they got to have the pedal to the metal the entire year. At first, I thought what Howard said was crazy. He usually is crazy. 107 is probably kind of crazy. But I think this is a 100-win baseball team. Hugh, when you look at the 2024 Phillies, tomorrow they start this thing off against the Braves, who did win over 100 last year. The Braves did. Are the Phillies a 100-win team?
I don't think so. I think they're going to be close, though. And I think everything that they're hoping to attain is probably going to be right there for them. But to win 100 wins, I don't think so, Joe. And part of that is because I think pitching is going to be somewhat of an issue. You talk about Taijuan Walker being hurt and the fact that 4th or 5th starter, there's going to be some issues with that potentially. And now, and there has been talk about even trying to stretch Ranger out a little bit to try to get more innings out of him. So I think that's going to be somewhat of an issue for you moving forward. But I do like this team. I think that they are going to get off to a quicker start, but I think it's going to be more like 94 wins this year.
Well, 94 is a good number. I mean, 94 would certainly put them comfortably in the playoffs. 215-592-9494 to hop in. All right, here's what we'll do on the show today. Your take on this. When you look at the Phillies, do you see a 100-win team? And we got to get everyone on the record today, day before opening day, your Phillies win prediction. Like, what number is in your head right now? At first, when I heard the number 107, I thought about the idea of triple digits, 100. It seems ridiculous. I don't think it's ridiculous. You look up and down this roster, And find me where the hole is. I mean, recently MLB.com projected them to have the number 1 bullpen in baseball, which I almost fell down when I saw that, considering I remember doing Final Out in 2020 and 2021 when every night it felt like it was a disaster waiting to happen with that bullpen. Oh, my goodness. They had the worst bullpen in the history of baseball. I mean, it was unbelievable. Now, 4 years later, they're projected to have the best bullpen. So it's a good bullpen. They have one of the 5 best starters in baseball. They have a really good number 2 in Aaron Nola. They have a good manager. They have a lineup that when they're clicking is just – I mean, we saw it against the Braves last year in the playoffs, just as good as anybody else. And I keep coming back to they seem like they want to be pedal to the metal all year. What has held the Phillies back the last 2 years? Themselves. April and May. They've just thrown up on themselves for 2 months before they woke up. If they don't do that, I don't see why they can't push for 100 wins. I mean, Hugh, that really is part of why I don't think this is crazy, because from June on last year, they did play like the 100-win team.
Yeah, they did. Excuse me. Yes, they did. I think that the power outage is not going to be an issue. I think that was one of the biggest issues that we had last year. We had some pretty good pitching. Like in some of those games that we didn't just get a whole lot of hitting. I don't think that's going to be the case, but I think this year is just going to be the polar opposite. It's going to be pitching that's going to probably be a little bit of a piecemeal situation for us early on.
It could be. I mean, certainly with Taiwan out, it's going to be piecemeal. I mean, Spencer Turnbull is starting in the rotation. But remember last year they didn't have a 5th starter until what, June? Remember they were throwing out Matt Strahm and openers and Dylan Covey. Who was our old buddy? Bailey Falter started in April. I mean, they had weird stuff in the rotation at the back end last year, and they still got to 90 wins at the end of the day. And then the other part of this that I think is critical is, they keep saying, what's the phrasing they've used? They're keeping the powder dry.
Keeping the powder dry.
Yeah, to go add something at the MLB trade deadline or if they need it during the season. And 2 days ago, Jordan Montgomery signed with the Diamondbacks. The Phillies could have easily done that. I mean, it was 1 year, $25 million. They didn't do it, which makes me believe the Phillies are waiting to see what they could get and push all in July for whatever they need. Is it a bat? I mean, who knows who's going to be available? Maybe Juan Soto gets moved again and we could do our Juan Soto shows. Okay, maybe it's a pitcher. Maybe it's Mike Trout. I don't know what's going to be available and what they need in July, but that could push them over the edge. 215-592-9494. All right, get on the record today. It is opening day. It's the day before the Phillies opener. How many wins? Your Phillies win prediction. And when you look at this team, do you see a 100-win baseball team? No one has any problem saying this about the Dodgers and Braves. I mean, people just say it like a reflex. Yeah, they'll win 100. I mean, the Phillies the last 2 years have been just as good in the big moment.
Yeah, but I don't think that. I think when you talk about those other teams and you talk about 100 wins, it's a given. I think that for the Phillies, I understand that it's a milestone that a lot of people like to get, especially when you're talking about winning the division, all of this stuff. I don't think it's needed. I really don't. And I know that might sound a little bold, given the fact that you could point out the fact that we haven't played. We missed the Dodgers the first year, and then you got the Braves twice.
They missed the Dodgers both times.
Yeah, and so I feel like it's not that big of a deal because I think this team, when you talk about matchups matter. Matchups matter, and I think they match up very well with the Atlanta Braves.
So I think to us it doesn't matter. It seems to me, Hugh, when we talked to those guys last week, it does matter to them. I think the Phillies want to win the division. I think they are.
No, I mean, they do.
Yeah.
They do.
And I just think as time goes on, I'm skeptical this wild card thing is going to keep leading to World Series. I know the last 2 years it's happened, but it's like, wait a second. That's harder. Like, the harder path doesn't usually lead to the results over time. I think this has been more of a blip, so I think they're going to push for it.